Good day, we are the Group 3 and we are going to present the current educational issues that we are currently facing. In our discussion, we will introduce the group chosen issues, our solution to both issues, and the connection between reading number 6 and the chosen issues.
The group chooses to discuss the standard of education in our country as well as the poor funding and shortage of teachers in public schools. The first issue is the quality of education in the Philippines. We will talk about how students' current experiences are impacted by the quality of education.
Quality of education shows the approach taken by professors with their students. Students should feel safe around them and not be afraid of them, because they are the ones who most need their guidance. What about the environment for learning? Where are they most focused? At the coffee shops, at home, or at school? The reason why educational standards are so low is due to several variables. Studies and fact-finding commissions have revealed that the low government funding for education, poor teacher quality, poor school management, poor lab and library facilities, poor learning environments, the curriculum's content, inadequate books and science equipment, the poor method of instruction, a lack of classrooms, and other factors are to blame for the declining of quality of education. To improve the quality and accessibility of basic education, the Philippine government continues to spend a lot of money. Yet, patterns in the academic performance of Filipino students over the previous few years, as measured by the National Achievement Test and the Program for International Student Assessment, reveal that the educational system has gaps.
Philippines' educational problem have gotten worse because of COVID-19, which has also presented new difficulties. A blended learning program, including online class, printouts, and lesson broadcasts on TV and social media, was introduced in October 2020. Therefore, the internet access of both students and teachers is necessary for the new learning pathways. Many Filipinos lack access to computers and other digital tools at home, making blended learning ineffective for millions of people.
The Philippines' educational system is often mistreated by numerous groups, often called for having a failed governance, affordability issues, a lack of properly educated and motivated teaching staff members, and the most famous term coined is the brain drain. These have then placed the entire educational system of the nation in the spotlight. Is it, however, really a failed system, or are we just looking at it too negatively? Well, we must first take a look at the educational system on a macro level. First of all, the educational system is in fact the sector that actually receives the most national budget in the country. 2021, 4.5 trillion peso national government budget gave the Department of Education over 751 billion pesos, which is the highest, far more than the Department of Public Works and Highways and the Department of Health. This should then tell us that the government does indeed place a strong emphasis on the overall academic system of the country. Second, with relation to the budget itself, it has enabled over 3 million individuals to be enrolled in the higher education space every year. This then pushes us to believe that the Philippines was successful in ensuring proper infrastructure is in place to help 3 million people to have access to higher education. Finally, the Philippines enjoys a high literacy rate among its population, 96.5% for basic and 91.6% for functional. These data presented thus far should in some ways tell us already that the population of the Philippines has so far enjoyed a good education. That is, until we actually dive deeper into the data itself. While there are 3 million individual enrollees every year, there are in fact only between 600 to 700,000 people to successfully graduate at the same time. This means that there's a huge difference when it comes to a person enrolling for higher education and actually finishing it. How did it come to this? Well, several studies have found that it's more likely related to financial troubles, a lack of proper infrastructures for students to properly learn and excel, or just proper support for them to stay on track. Further, a report published by the World Bank has also found that 80% of children found that they do not know what they should learn in school. The report has even shown that only between 10 to 22% of students between selected grades have shown minimum proficiency. These data provided by the World Bank and other institutions can then tell us a pertaining issue. How is the Philippines spending so much money but not seeing strong results? Well, to be fair, this can be because, just maybe, even after spending more than 750 billion pesos, it might have been not enough. After all, we're looking to educate millions of people every year. This means that the government has to spend money to construct schools, pay some teachers and staff depending on whether it's private or public, and ensure that the schools built are up to date with the ever-rapidly increasing change in world education, and so much more. While more factors vary, we just don't have enough to pay for a better education system. Should the government, however, decide to enlarge its budget further might be an issue. After all, it's already the largest sector, but placing too much will harm other departments. Anyway, what do you think?
The second issue is the lack of facilities and teacher shortage in the public schools. We will talk about how the Philippines public schools are impacted by this issue. School facilities improve the quality of the study environment in the school, thus improving the quality of education. But due to the rise in child enrollment and enrollment ratio since 1960, elementary enrollment has been growing in a high rate of 4% each year. There are severe shortage of textbooks and teaching supplies, even more serious in the textbook problem. Too many students, not enough classrooms. It is the most common problem in educational settings, especially public ones. Lack of classroom space and overcrowding are issues in the Philippines. When we discuss education, we mean more than just teaching a student how to read, write, and handle numbers. But given that there aren't enough classroom of other educational facilities and that the school can't even provide a classroom in the first place, how can we meet the needs of the students?
Teaching is sometimes said to be the most renowned of all occupations. But many teachers believe that this honorable reputation is really a fantasy. We now perceive Filipino teachers as overworked and underpaid professionals during the past 3 decades. The tragic reality of teachers' wages is not just limited to sub-decent levels. The instructors' already challenging work is made considerably harder by the daily struggles with outdated classroom, packed classroom, and the shortage of instructional tools, among the other things. Teaching is sometimes said to be the most renowned of all occupations. But many teachers believe that this honorable reputation is really a fantasy. We now perceive Filipino teachers as overworked and underpaid professionals during the past 3 decades. The tragic reality of teachers' wages is not just limited to sub-decent levels. The instructors' already challenging work is made considerably harder by the daily struggles with outdated classroom, packed classroom, and the shortage of instructional tools, among the other things.
Of students in Metro Manila.
By now, at least 50 young students should be crammed into this small space. Instead, we are seeing an empty classroom, void of any activity.
Schools remain closed until August 24th because of the COVID-19 scare. And even then, things are not going to be the same.
There will be no face-to-face classes and sessions until we are assured of the safety of our children and our teachers.
Authorities believe schooling can continue even from home. They are implementing distance or remote learning, a method that delivers lessons through various ways.
Next, we will discuss our group's solution to both issues.
In terms of the quality of education, we think that we can start by improving the learning environment. From kindergarten through grade 3, all students must benefit from the best development and educational programs available. It is clear that the government of the Philippines must take the initiative to improve the quality of basic education in the country. According to the Constitution, the state must provide primary and secondary students with the best education for free. Numerous organizations and all other society sectors must actively contribute their ideas and effort to guarantee that children and youth have access to high-quality education. Emphasizing effective teaching techniques through teacher training programs and creating textbooks for each student are some of the elements that are focused on the scope of education.
For lack of facilities, the Special Educational Fund, or SEF, should be used for a more authorized purpose while still complying with the needs-based principle. To increase mayors' capacity for governing education, seminar program and seminars should be offered. Also included in school governance should be student leaders. Through enhancing resource allocation and budgeting procedures, as well as by raising the overall government budget through tax income, we believe they can increase the fund for education.
Solution for teacher shortage is to increase funding for teachers and schools and enlist the sharpest minds to the teaching profession. Both the state and federal governments must make investment in incentives. More instructors may look for jobs in high-need schools due to national loan forgiveness initiatives. More options for affordable, high-quality online teacher preparation programs will help inspire would-be teachers to pursue their careers without being concerned by crippling students' loan debt holding them back. Putting an emphasis on fair teacher evaluation might also help the teacher shortage in public schools. There is more to teachers and students than a test score. In-service training for all teachers should be a part of ongoing teacher preparation, beginning with mentors for new teachers. By participating in their state's teacher associations and keeping track on their local and state officials' stances on teacher evaluation and school financing, teachers may push for high-quality education. Connections of the issues will vary depending on the specific situation. However, some possible connections include decreased teacher effectiveness due to substandard facilities and equipments, increased teacher attrition rates due to poor working conditions, and reduced student learning due to overcrowded classrooms and underqualified teachers.
Corruption is the main issue that is discussed in Reading 6. And what happens if corruption impacts education? The whole goal of education is to have an open global system that values talent rather than money. But it is defeated when corruption is present. Students do not get skills and information necessary to make a significant contribution to their nation's economy and society in a corrupt educational system. From an early age, they learn to value corruption and accept it as the norm for themselves and society.
Petty corruption includes paying bribes to education at lower levels of the system to get opportunities or avoid punishments, as well as diverting funds and supplies on their way to schools. Moreover, low-quality public education is a result of corruption in the hiring and training of teachers.
Access to education is hampered by corruption. From preschool to university, it weakens our collective well-being and produces poor learning environment, where the disadvantaged suffer the most. It undermines the basis of high-quality education of all students. Corruption in the education sector destroys social trust, worsens inequality, and hinders growth. Academic fraud, bribery, and nepotism in teacher hiring, as well as pricing of textbooks and supplies, are all examples of corruption in elementary and secondary education. That's all for our presentation. Again, we are the Group 3. Thank you for listening.